Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful October 30, 2018, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, it's a beautiful day down here in the South, but I want to send out our sympathies, Charlton, to the Jewish community and all the religious communities around the United States, Charlton.
Yeah.
After this horrific weekend in Pittsburgh that affected so many, not just in that community, Charlton, but around the U.S. When you think about this harsh cry that we have in this country for lack of unity from our leadership,
yes,
and so much divisiveness. And today was the first day of the funerals of those Jewish victims, Charlton, of the synagogue. And unfortunately, the president showed up. And those people in Pittsburgh showed their displeasure in him showing up.
Oh, really?
And it shows a different outcry, Charlton. Everyone has seen these rallies that he has on television with his base.
Yeah.
These are hand-picked, paid people to cheer for him. And it came to light today because there was a protest in the city of Pittsburgh. You know, this great city up in the northeastern part of the United States, Charlton.
Yeah.
They said he was not welcome. They did not want him there with his racial divisive rhetoric.
Wow.
And you think about in harsh times that we've had in this country, Charlton, and I think about recent presidencies. I think about President Bill Clinton when he attended the Oklahoma City bombing at the Merrill Center there, Charlton,
yeah,
the federal building. And he spoke, you know, with great empathy and uplifting to the locals in Oklahoma City, Charlton.
Yes.
And he was well received and appreciated his coming out. I think about President Bush after 9/11 visiting New York City, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the uplifting that he gave the nation and that community of New York, Charlton, and that surrounding tri-state area with his showing up, Charlton.
Yep.
I think about President Obama in Carolina after the church shooting down there, Charlton, where he was appreciated by the local community and the state, Charlton, where all three of these presidents, Charlton, delivered uplifting messages,
yes,
to the nation and the local people in those communities. This was a situation today where our president was not met by any state and local dignitaries. They didn't want to have anything to do with him, Charlton, because they felt that he was only doing this for political gain.
Yeah.
And even the local community did not welcome him. And you think about the horrificness of this crime, Charlton, that occurred. And I know people say you talk about sports, but all of these people were related to sports, Charlton. And every one of these incidents,
yeah,
with President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama,
yeah,
they all had someone that they knew had been involved in sports in their lifetime, Charlton.
Yeah, I think,
this is why this resonates. Religion is part of sports. You think about the cry against African-American athletes, saying that they're against the flag and the military because they won't stand during the national anthem, which is a political song and a religious song, Charlton,
yeah,
as far as this nation goes. But, you know, the president went in, he didn't speak because he doesn't know empathy, Charlton, for those who have lost and who are in mourning.
Yeah.
He doesn't know empathy. He left out, Charlton, just like he came in. Nobody cared that he came in. Nobody cared that he left. All he can wait to do is get to his next rally where he has his paid attendance of people that he's paid to come in and cheer for him, Charlton.
Wow.
That he can use his negative rhetoric that has been so divisive in this country. And you think about in the first year of his presidency, and this is something that Fox News will never talk about.
Yeah.
There have been over 30 active shooter situations in the first year of his presidency, Charlton.
Wow.
Over 30 active shooter situations where law enforcement had to come in. This is because his racially divisive rhetoric. And we haven't even finished the second year of his presidency, Charlton, and it's almost reached those numbers.
That's incredible. I just, there's so much that's going on in this country. I just want to make sure that we're not just another dumbed down sycophant sports program. I do want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I've always been impressed by intelligent men and people who galvanize our country and people that bring us together. And I think about the late Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president. He was the president that was the one who actually helped pass the voting rights bill, the housing rights. We have the right to live where we want to live, and this civil rights is all about everybody. It's not just for Black Americans. It's for everybody. And I think about the synagogues. It was Jewish Americans that started the NAACP back in 1909. They didn't have to be black to have a cause for Black Americans. So for the only Black-owned radio station, maybe the best in the universe, I want to just say, at least for us, unlike many of our other brethren, they're so silent. They can't wait to ask LeBron James, are you ever going to point the finger at your teammates? Can you see how many points Klay Thompson scored? And congratulations, Boston Red Sox, you won the World Series. They have no empathy for human beings that are outside of a uniform in sports. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, as I think about this is what happened in Pittsburgh. I mean, and you think about how galvanized that community is, not just with their religion, but you think about the sports teams, the Penguins, the Steelers, that have been the backdrop of so much glory for those local people in that community, Charlton, with the championships that they've won. The Pittsburgh Pirates. You think about all three of those sports, Charlton, have won multiple world championships.
Yep.
And that community prayed and cheered for them, Charlton, the Jewish community.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's not just them, Charlton. They open up refugee hostels, Charlton, for other immigrants who come into this country, Charlton.
Wow.
They back them. They support them. They house them. And for this to occur into their community, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the president not to denounce anti-Semitism.
Wow.
In this country, Charlton. You think about Charlottesville last year, Charlton, where 2 police officers were lost and a citizen.
Yeah.
And the president didn't denounce the white nationalists or the neo-Nazis. He said they were good people.
Wow.
That's what he said. The people of Pittsburgh, of the Jewish faith and just of the community, have asked the president to denounce, white supremacy.
Yeah.
And he will not. He will not speak against it, Charlton, because that is his base.
Yeah.
So he is not going to denounce that regardless of how many American lives are lost. He wants people to cheer for him in his rhetoric. And he doesn't know how to console this country in a time of loss and in a time of need.
Well, I think I love the way that you pay homage to the victims and their family members. We're all from the same tribe, and I know everybody loves to get around sports because we can take our mind off of things, but it doesn't mean that we have to become intellectually vapid or ignorant or insensitive. And I just love the fact that we can bring things up and then talk about how we really feel about people. I want to make sure everybody feels safe in this country, and I thoughts and prayers with those families, and we'll just hope that we can cut down on that type of rhetoric. Big C, I want to touch on to the world of some NFL last night. I saw something that was a little bit sad last night, and I saw a once proud organization, the Buffalo Bills. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 times. They lost all 4, but that meant they won the AFC Championship at least 4 times. And I think about some of their great players that are part of it, whether it's Jim Kelly or Thurman Thomas, or some of the other great players that they've had. Talley played there, Bruce Smith, a lot of them. You think about the coaching staff, that Marv Levy, built a great program up north. The Juice played there in Buffalo, Big C, back in the day out of USC, O.J. Simpson. And we have so many people that have played in the beast mode started out there when he came from Cal Berkeley. Went played for the Buffalo Bills. Now it seems like when I watched the Buffalo Bills play, of course they were playing against the Patriots, it almost seemed like it was a professional football team playing against a college team, Big C. In fact, a not even ranked college team, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's how they started the game. They started the game running the Wildcat. And doing that, you let the defense know you have no options other than one, is to run the ball. There's no threat of a pass.
Yep.
So just line up and beat up our running back. That's what they did. When you think about Shady McCoy, he had 12 carries last night, Charlton.
Wow.
13 yards.
Wow.
12 carries, 13 yards, because the New England Patriots knew he was going to be running the ball.
Yeah.
There was no deception in that offense. And so when you look at the offensive coordinator, and you got this Mickey Mouse scenario that you're running in the NFL, you know, you're not giving your players a chance to win, not even to compete, Charlton.
Yeah.
You think about this. Derek Anderson was taken off the couch after sitting at home for 7 years. Okay?
Yeah.
And he's been the starting quarterback. For 2 games for the Buffalo Bills. You think about this, 2 games. You've scored 11 points.
Wow.
You've kicked 3 field goals and scored a safety.
Yeah.
That's what you've scored in 2 games. And you're saying that you're a professional organization. Your fans deserve more.
Oh, yeah.
The television network deserves more, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, Hugh Jackson was just fired. He in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he didn't have 1 game, Charlton, where he couldn't score a touchdown.
Yep.
Regardless of what people want to say about his overall record, this year, Charlton, he had a competitive team.
Yeah.
And he didn't have games where he had been shut out, and he had games where he didn't score touchdowns, Charlton. The Buffalo Bills have had 3 games this year, Charlton, where they have not scored a touchdown.
Wow.
Not scored a touchdown. And this game last night against the New England Patriots, the only thing that was not in conclusion at the kickoff of the game what the final score was going to be.
Yep. Let me ask you, Big C. There was a time when Buffalo was on top of the world, especially in the AFC. And New England was a team that was looking at the Buffalo, so we know things can change. But since that Kraft got the new stadium over there in Foxborough, the Tuck Rule helped build that the way Oakland knows about the Tuck Rule. When Brady walked off the field with his head down and the referee said, well, hold on, how are we going to pay for that stadium? And they put New England back on the field, Big C, and they went on to win. But that Buffalo was what New England is right now. We're just talking about 20 years ago, Big C. What's happened in 20 years, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Buffalo was the AFC East in the 90s, Charlton. You talked about the 4 Super Bowl appearances, only equaled by the Minnesota Vikings having 4 losing appearances in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But, you know, the run on that team, Charlton, when you look at that offense, you know, led by Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, whose number was retired last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
You had the great receiving core, Charlton, that was there. You know, that K-gun offense, the defense that was led by Bruce Smith, Darryl Talley, you know, Biscuit was there also. So, I mean, they had some tremendous players, Charlton, Hall of Fame players. But Ralph Wilson ran that organization, Charlton. And it was personal with Ralph Wilson.
He meant
that
something.
He cared about his players. He cared about the organization. He cared about the community. That resonated, you know, his care for his players, it resonated to how they played on the field, Charlton. They stayed in the community. I think when you have teams that lose now, Charlton, social media has so much to do with that. Is they get too much of an insight with the players. Players are too busy trying to keep their tweet accounts going and all of that. We saw that with the Cleveland Browns. People today are dissecting what happened on that HBO show that they have during the preseason in camp with the Cleveland Browns, going back, using that against Coach Hugh Jackson, saying that there was friction between him and the coaching staff. I think every coaching staff has friction, Charlton. It's called a head coach. Okay?
The buck stops here.
I think it's like when you go to somebody's house, Charlton. It's their rules. I mean, you're working under his rules. And the media is trying to undermine Hugh Jackson today, saying that he had fractured relationships with his coaching staff. I don't think any head coach has a fractured relationship with their coaching staff. If they did, those guys have the option to quit, Charlton. It's not a dictatorship, you know, as far as your employment. You can walk away at any time, just like a player said, I want to retire.
I want to retire,
You can do that. But for these media personnel to come out because they don't have any answer or insight, they have to create stories. It's almost like the presidency. Let's see what lie we can tell and what people will believe.
You know what's something you just brought up a point that I see today, and we talk again. We do our show unscripted, We don't have a teleprompter. Nobody's writing a script telling us what to say, when to go to a break, or when to bring up certain things. I've been seeing on the mothership of all ships, they have run out of content. They've already fleeced all the black athletes. They pull the erstwhile athlete on and say, hey, we got a 30-minute show, an hour show. Let's fill it with guys who don't have a show. Give them 30% of the content, or 30 minutes of the hour content, Big C, which we know is only about 50 minutes anyway. Now they're going to where people tweet it. They have no content. Now they're saying, let's show you what somebody tweeted. How in the world are you making that kind of money and you can't come up with what to talk about? You got to go to what somebody tweeted, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's how, void everybody is. It's like, you got to understand that these guys are fans sitting here.
Yeah.
They're opinionated fans. They're not knowledgeable sports people.
Yeah.
They look at any highlight and they say, okay, this is the story I'm going to build off the highlight.
Yeah.
Because, and this anonymous source that they have, whether it's in politics, whether it's in sports.
Yeah.
Be a grown man.
Google him. What's his name?
Like Gundy said.
Yeah.
Be a grown man.
Yeah.
Okay, put your pants on front with you.
Yep.
Tell the truth. Gonna attack somebody, attack me.
Right.
That's what we don't get on these sports shows, because they loop over and over and they're trying to come up with this story. My sources. Who the hell is a source?
Yeah.
That's listening to somebody else's program, figuring out what they said. That's your source 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But to understand athleticism, this is the reason why they bring in former athletes to try to get a pulse on what athletes think.
Yep.
Fortunately and unfortunately, I'm one of those former athletes. I know how people think. I was a team captain. I was, won my championships.
Yep.
Got fined by the league. All these various things. I know all the aspects of it. They had personal grudges with teammates, opponents, coaches, all that stuff. It's like a relationship when you're a coach.
Yeah.
You got kids. You don't get along with your kids all the time. You walk out of the room because you don't like them.
Right.
You tell them to go see their mother.
That's what timeout's for.
you tell the mother, you need to address your kids.
Right.
Because I don't know anything about them right now.
Yeah.
You have fallout with your parents. Everybody.
Yeah.
This happens with siblings.
You're human.
That's what sports is all about, Charlton. There's no perfect relationship. But to sit up and say, okay, I got my sources snitching on somebody. Yeah. This is the story I have. I've never liked that, even as a player.
Well, I think it's something about relationships. I mean, everybody can look at all relationships. When you feel real comfortable about somebody and you can do things, you let them come over to your house and put the shoes up on your furniture. Especially when the missus is out of town or the first lady, if you feel totally comfortable with that. How many women in the United States of America come home early from work? Maybe you come home a day early. And when you come up into your house, some woman sits up on your furniture, your best furniture, and she got her shoes up on your sofa. Your husband don't say anything, Big C. What's that mean?
Somebody tiptoed around the tulip. That's what that means, Jack. But when we have these stories in the sports world, and everybody's coming up with their spin on everything. Yeah. I mean, we come up with our spin. We're like everybody else. But I think our spin is a little more genuine.
We're not like everybody else. I'm not reading what I'm going to say, Big. You're not reading what you're going to say. It comes from the gut, Big C.
We're not using kid gloves. Yeah. We're calling a spade, no pun intended. but we're being real. Yeah. And I think that's what the listening audience wants to hear, is what's real. Yeah. It's like when we watch a game on television, and we see the replays, the officials, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, hockey, going to sit there and look at the replay for 3 minutes when you saw something in real time and you recognize
I know it.
They're trying to figure out how can they get you to forget what you just saw that was real and make up a story for you. Yeah. That's what they're trying to do. And we get this on these sports broadcasts, Charlton. Yeah. Is that they're trying to make up a story for you, even though you know it's not accurate. The situation in Green Bay and Los Angeles this past weekend, when everybody wanted to blame Ty Montgomery for losing the game because he brought a kickoff out of the end zone and wanted to make a play and ultimately fumbled the ball. Right. They kept saying he didn't give Aaron Rodgers a chance with 2 minutes to go in the game. And, the last I checked, Aaron Rodgers had a damn chance for 58 minutes.
He sure did.
58 minutes Aaron Rodgers had a chance.
Yeah.
But they want to blame Ty Montgomery,
Yeah.
saying that, for those first 58 minutes,
Yeah.
didn't matter because they weren't Aaron Rodgers' fault.
Yeah.
As I said in the show prior to that, Charlton,
Yeah.
who checks Aaron Rodgers when he makes a mistake?
Big C does.
Nobody in the media.
Big C does.
They're not saying Aaron Rodgers ever screw up.
Yeah.
So for 58 minutes,
Yep.
did the coach pull Aaron Rodgers to the side and say, you screwed up, you didn't convert the third down?
Nope.
What the hell were you looking at?
Yep.
Why didn't you hit the open guy? Why didn't you check down?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers never got that from the broadcast booth or the sideline. But Ty Montgomery got blamed because Aaron Rodgers had the ball for 58 minutes and didn't get a chance to touch it in the last two.
That's a very good point, Big C. And oftentimes athletes can, somebody said to LeBron James, LeBron, what's it like when you grow impatient? Like, what do you mean when I grow impatient? He's out there trying to win all the time, and he said something like you don't want to see it, and they try to say, so what does he really mean? Well, if he's impatient, they're going to try to win, no matter what. It's always something. But you get on Rodgers sometimes. Because last I checked, he wasn't putting up Patrick Mahomes type of numbers, and he only has one Super Bowl. He's been playing over a decade. He's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, so that means he should have at least more quarterback touchdowns, passes than Brady, or at least more Super Bowls than Brady. He should have something more than a lot of guys, Big C, especially if they're going to say you can't touch him. But we know it's all fair in love and war, and they'll always protect the quarterback. I do want to run something, though, because you've been talking about so many things over the years. I want to get on Big C's top 10 teams in the NFL. We just saw a great week of NFL football. We saw, coach being let go, unfortunately. We saw some coaches that maybe should be let go that are not. We saw John Gruden lose another game. That means he hasn't won in over 10 years. He's had one game. But even that game, you talk about replay, Cleveland won that game. When Carr was sacked, the ball came out, but he was still standing up. Cleveland was running down the field for a touchdown. The referees blew the whistle. It's the same referees that worked the tuck rule, Big C. This time they paid the Raiders back, so Big C. But we think about it, everybody has an opinion. Big C, what are Big C's top 10 NFL football teams for this week? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, my top 10 is always going to be opposite of somebody else's top 10. I mean, we'll have some teams that match. We look at number one team in the league, Charlton, the Rams. They're still undefeated after 8 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't dispute where they are. And they kept Aaron Rodgers out of the end zone the last 2 minutes of the game because he didn't have a chance to touch the ball because of Ty Montgomery, okay?
Yeah.
Let's look at the Patriots. I keep the Patriots at number 2, Charlton, because they beat the number 3 team, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs might be the hottest team in the NFL, even hotter than the Rams, the way they keep scoring.
Yeah.
But I have them at number 3 because of the one loss.
Yeah.
Number 4, I'm going to bring in the New Orleans Saints, Charlton. This is a team that is getting better and better as the weeks go on.
Yep.
You think about Drew Brees only having 120 yards passing against your cousin in Minnesota.
He's not my cousin.
Last week.
Yeah.
But that defense, Charlton, answered the bell, scoring a touchdown and getting the big turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
The team no one's talking about, Charlton, San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
Phillip Rivers right now is having a banner year. Now, you got to realize Phillip Rivers was in that same draft with Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger, okay?
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger still performing at a high level. Phillip Rivers performing at a higher level. I don't know where Eli Manning is at this moment.
Yeah.
I look at the Panthers and Cam Newton. Cam Newton right now has had multiple games of double-digit touchdown passes, Charlton.
Yeah.
Something he hasn't done before in his career.
Yeah.
He has the Panthers in at number 6. Deshaun Watson has found his rookie mojo, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing the Texans in at number 7. The Steelers, as we talked about with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
They've gotten this team moving, Charlton. Antonio Brown is getting the ball. James Conner is running the ball. They're not missing Le'Veon Bell. He may be back in the next week or so, Charlton, because the deadline is over for the NFL trades today.
Yeah.
So he can come in and sign without being traded.
Yep.
Seattle Seahawks. No one thought the Seahawks had life at all this season, Charlton.
No.
Pete Carroll has been a miracle worker when he was at USC and ever since he's been in Seattle.
Yeah.
He gets the players and wants to play in his system. Talked about the Legion of Boom being gone, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has a new Legion in that's playing great defense.
Yep.
And at number 10, team that snuck up on everybody, according to the media, the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
They don't care about the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year, Charlton. They got Alex Smith.
Yeah.
They got a quarterback that's a team player, not the cousin that they let go after those years. But they got Alex Smith, who's been a winner everywhere he's played, Charlton.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. You and your cousin comments, they say all black people look like we're all related somehow, Big C. But no, he's not my cousin. I just want his cousin's bank account, Big C. Well, when I think about the Broncos, I think about a lot of good teams. I think the Detroit Lions are giving up on the season. I mean, they traded wide receiver Golden Tate to the Eagles today. Golden Tate, who are they going to give Stafford a chance to throw to? They won't talk about anything that has to do with Stafford. But Stafford's the same quarterback that hasn't won a playoff game, and he's still making over 100. He makes over $100 million. What are they going to do when they give away a good receiver in Golden Tate, Big C? What are they trying to do there, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton is letting you know that they're tanking the season. When you get rid of your best receiver out of your receiving core, Charlton, and you know, their excuse will, well, we want to look at some younger players. Well, that's what training camp was for, I think.
Yep.
You want to look at younger players.
And John Gruden. Yep.
You know, you make the trade at the beginning of the season if you want to get rid of a player.
Yeah.
But you think about it. You trade the top receiver, and you think that's going to help your quarterback who hasn't won a playoff game in the NFL, Charlton?
Yeah. That's funny. You trade your top. They're following John Gruden's playbook, Big C. I'm telling you, they got to stop following what John Gruden's doing. John Gruden gives the best defensive and offensive players, Big C. I want to look at the Broncos. They trade receiver Demaryius Thomas to Houston today, and he used to face the Broncos. They'll face next week. That's a big pickup for Houston. Houston started to turn things around with Watson now, Big C. I don't know what the Broncos are thinking, because this guy can still get open and catch the ball for you. It's just another weapon for Watson, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, John Elway had a little substance abuse problem in the past, and I know he separated his shoulder in a bike accident. Yeah. So he might be heavy on the oxycodone right now. So I'm not sure what he's thinking in getting rid of, a former All-Pro receiver.
They're a mile high.
You trade him.
Yep.
To the team that you're going to be facing
this
coming week. Now, I'm not a smart guy, Charlton, and my kids have always told me that, Dad, you're not that smart.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
But you bring a guy in that knows the offense of the opponent that you're getting ready to face. He knows all offensive calls. He knows all offensive signals.
He sure does.
You don't have enough time to change up your offensive scheme.
Right.
So Denver just mailed in a loss. Thanks, John Elway. I know who to bet on this week.
Hey, Las Vegas is a lot closer to Colorado than you think. Big C is a lot closer than you think. I think the Broncos that's funny when you hear these guys making moves to get rid of guys that are productive. For Jacksonville, the Jaguars, them good old boys down south. Okay, I heard about the dirty South, but I thought that was in Atlanta. Now, when you go across the pond, you can't keep your hands clean or sometimes your nose clean. 4 Jacksonville Jaguar players arrested at 4 o'clock in the morning in London prior to the game, spent 9 hours in custody. Now, I thought when you went to England, you're supposed to have tea. You're supposed to pay homage to the Queen. Last thing you're supposed to do is walk around with handcuffs unless you roll that way, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that might have been a problem, with them not being able to get a pass rush.
It's hard to run with your hands behind your back.
Well, really you're playing with your hands tied behind your back. Literally. And so, you had 4 players that didn't get any sleep before the game. Now, when I played, there was always a curfew.
Yep.
I broke it a half dozen, maybe a dozen times. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I had a long career, so I could average those out on percentage. I didn't do them all in one night.
Yeah.
I see this Dante Fowler trade, Charlton, as being one of those players who potentially broke the curfew.
Yeah.
But you send him. He's a former #1 draft pick out of the University of Florida. You send him to the Rams.
Yeah.
You send him to a team that needs some defensive help. Let's be for real, okay? You send one of your top pass rushers to a team that hasn't lost.
Yep.
And you keep your damn quarterback that can't figure out who he's playing for.
Yeah. That's funny. It doesn't make any sense. It's the opposite side of the world. In fact, it's the opposite side of the universe. Remember Darth Vader in Star Wars? He said, Luke, join the dark side. I think that's what a lot of them are doing. And since they made a lot of things legal in the United States, a lot of them good old boys are doing a lot of things that don't make any sense, Big C. I want to ask you just about some other NFL trades today. The Packers They get rid of Ha Clinton Dix to the Redskins. That's funny, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, here it is. Aaron Rodgers is the one that's not scoring the points, but you're getting rid of, other players that are involved in it. You get rid of Clinton Dix, Charlton.
Yep.
Another former first-round draft pick that has helped you out in the secondary.
Yeah.
I mean, they held the Rams pretty much in check.
Yeah.
Other than Todd Gurley.
Right.
And he was locked on a linebacker a lot of times.
Yeah.
But you're dismantling your defense and not doing anything to help your offense. Not only that, Charlton, they traded Ty Montgomery to Baltimore.
Yeah.
After this kickoff fiasco, they get him out of town, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, you think about all of what Ty Montgomery has sacrificed for this team, Charlton, since coming out of Stanford.
Yeah.
He was drafted as a receiver. He played running back for a couple of years, Charlton, because the running back position was hurt.
Yeah.
He sacrificed his own self to help the team.
Yeah.
He worked as a kick returner also, but you reward him because of one bad play and you ship him out of town.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's crazy. I mean, it's a lot like Demarius Smith going to the Texans. They'll be playing Denver pretty soon. But the Lions trading Golden Tate, and I know the Raiders when they got rid of their two receivers that were very stable over the last 2 years. But
Crabtree and
Cooper, Big C. Guys that made, when Derek Carr threw it for 4,000 yards, Big C, I think he had a couple of receivers named Crabtree and Cooper, but they're gone. That's why it doesn't make any sense. But sometimes when you legalize certain things in California, sometimes people do a lot of things that don't make sense. I want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're approaching a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. But Big C, I got to just run back one more time. I recall when John Elway, because I think about Demaryius Thomas and I think about the Broncos are still a good team, especially with their defense. They're not what they were 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. But when Elway came out of Stanford, he was also a baseball player at Stanford. I mean, he was a very talented athlete. His father, Jack, coached the Stanford Cardinal. But when he was drafted, he did not want to go to the Colts at the time, and he pulled some shenanigans. Now, man, and they let him get away with it. It's called the Great White Hype. He could choose what NFL team he wants to bring him on. But now that he is the GM, and I remember when they won the Super Bowl down in San Diego against the Green Bay, and he said, "Pat, this for you." Well, actually, Terrell Davis is the one that ran for over 200 yards in 3 quarters with a migraine, and he didn't get the All-Star or the MVP of the game. So now that Elway's been used to being given that good old boy treatment, he's white. He's going to be given the benefit of the doubt in the legal system, also in the coaching ranks, even as a GM. Do you think that he's getting rid of someone that can help his team win is more egregious than maybe the Lions getting rid of Golden Tate? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about the moves that have been done since Elway has been the GM of that organization.
Yeah.
The one bright spot he has is that he brought in Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And he got him in a bargain basis. But you look at the quarterbacks that he drafted. He drafted Osweiler, didn't pan out. He drafted Paxton Lynch.
No.
Didn't pan out. They just cut Chad Kelly, drafted him. Didn't pan out. So, far as a guy who can pick talent, Trevor Siemian, who is no longer there. There's almost a half dozen quarterbacks that he's brought in that he can't evaluate.
Yeah.
He lost Elmer Dumervil at one point, was the best pass rusher in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get the contract signed quick enough, Charles.
Yeah.
And so in free agent markets, he had to go out and sign Case Keenum because he wasn't sure what he was doing quarterback-wise, even though there was other quarterbacks out there that was available. Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Robert Griffin, that had more mobility.
Yeah.
And may have fit that offense a little better, Charlton. He's lost the quality in the offensive line. He hasn't been able to go out and recruit offensive linemen, Charlton, to keep his quarterback standing.
Yeah.
So, when you look at players, and you'll often see this, guys who make good players can't evaluate talent, Charlton, because they're so busy thinking about their legacy.
Themselves, yeah.
About how well they played. Doesn't make any difference whether it's Major League Baseball, doesn't make any difference whether it's the NHL, doesn't make any difference whether it's pro football, pro basketball, something. It is the same.
Yeah.
Great players don't make great coaches.
Yep.
Because they're perfectionists at their craft, and they don't spend the time studying what it takes to put together a team.
Yeah.
They keep working to make themselves better. Look at all the coaches in the league, Charlton. Find me any of those coaches in any league that was a star.
Yeah.
And I'll show you a team that's losing, okay?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of them can't do what Al Davis did for the Raiders back in the day as a coach and an owner. And then when you think about Flores as a player and then a coach, it's still amazing. 2 Super Bowl rings and not in the Hall of Fame, not as a coach.
Yes, he actually has 4, Charlton.
4?
There's 4. He has one as a player with the Kansas City Chiefs. He has one as an assistant coach with the 77 Raiders. And 2 as a head coach with the Raiders.
That's good knowledge, Big C. But maybe he needs 5 to get into the Hall of Fame, Big C. And I just want to get on something here, too. And I know we talk about so many things. Just give me your thoughts. Giants rookie quarterback, Colorado arrested nearly running over an officer in Denver. And the Denver Broncos last week cut Chad Kelly after being arrested. Now, just give me, why is it that much more of a news? I remember when almost any African-American player gets in trouble, there's always some talk about they got to make a statement like everybody's like that. Well, with Colorado arrested, nearly running over an officer in Denver, that's kind of pushed under the rug, Big C. Why is that your thoughts, Big C?
Well, this is the Giants' 4th-round draft pick this year, Charlton, out of the University of Richmond.
Yeah.
He was arrested last night, almost running over an officer in a construction zone.
Yeah.
And everyone knows in a construction zone you really have to adhere to the law.
Yeah.
Because it's a serious penalty just getting a ticket. He would not adhere to what the officer's commands were.
Wow.
And almost ran the officer down last night, Charlton. Now, Chad Kelly was cut last week by the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
For being intoxicated, walking into somebody's house and being arrested later.
Yep.
They cut ties with him.
Yeah.
Now, we know how the Maris family is with the New York Giants about protecting criminals, okay?
Yep.
Josh Brown, the punter who beat his wife over 20 times and had 9/11 calls to back it up.
Google
the
it.
Maris family said that was okay.
Google it.
It was just a misunderstanding. We'll handle that in-house.
Yeah.
And so here's a guy, especially after the incident just occurred in Pittsburgh, that here it is where 4 officers were shot in Pittsburgh, Charlton.
Yeah.
Here it is, you have a vehicle, which is a weapon, and you almost run down an officer in New York, Charlton. And here it is, the Giants won't have any actions on this situation, Charlton. There was some talk that this kid may start this week or next week in case of benching Eli, or at least playing the game. But the Mara family will say, it was just an unfortunate incident. These things happen.
Yeah.
That he was in a rush to get to work, and we're not going to worry about it. It's no big deal.
Wow. I'll tell you what, Big C, it doesn't make any sense. I know people can get into issues or whatever, but I think the Mara family, they owe the media an apology, and they really owe one to Odell Beckham. Because as a white man who's grown up with white skin privilege in this country, just Google Tim Wise, he wrote a book about it. He comes out in grandstands as if he's only talking to dumb people, and that no one can realize the privilege that he's had as a white male growing up, and he refused to protect a white lady from being battered by a white man. You can Google that. But at the same time, they throw Odell Beckham under the bus for punching a kicking net. And when you think what's the most egregious to a woman, would you rather see a man punch a kicking net for being frustrated that he can't get passes from a quarterback who can't throw accurately over 20 yards? Or a guy who beats the crap out of his wife 20 times? Now, Mara knew both of them. One he chastised publicly, the other he gave him a $2 million raise. Which one do you think? Mara owes Odell Beckham an apology. And for my white brethren in media, you guys do too. Because you covered this story on Beckham punching a kicking net ad nauseum. But the guy that beat his wife, spousal abuse still goes on every day in this country. And for you good boys to act like you don't know it when the guy lives Caucasian, you don't talk about it, you're hurting white women, which may be your wife or your daughter, or perhaps your mother. You got to talk about that stuff and quit letting Mara come out and talk about Odell Beckham playing football. He should give Beckham a $2 million raise for punching the net, since that's what you get for punching things, Big C. I just think that's egregious, especially with another giant getting into some trouble. Big C, is that too far-fetched to think that Mara should come out and say, you know what, guys? I didn't understand what I was doing, and I didn't understand how to do one player under the bus for punching the net, and the other guy gave him a $2 million raise for punching his wife. Does he owe the media an apology that are dumb enough to listen to him, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's easy to go that way when you look at the polarization of America. Is that you can't have a black athlete voicing an opinion of negativity against the guys that are not performing on the team.
Yeah.
You want to berate him, Charlton. That's what you want to do. You want to make an example out of it. All he wants to do is compete. He has a quarterback that even the media knows now can't compete at an NFL level.
Yeah.
But they keep him in there, they say, for services rendered.
Yep.
You know, we're going to keep him around. We're going to let him go on his own terms.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much we lose, but everybody else should be happy in losing.
Yeah.
You got to go to practice every week, Charlton. You got to run your sprints every day. You got to go up and down the field. You got to get hit by linebackers and defensive backs, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback is setting you up.
Yep.
And you shouldn't be disenchanted by that.
Yep.
You should be disenchanted at the opening kickoff, looking at your opponent, and they're laughing at you because you don't have a chance to win.
Don't have a chance
and
to
your
win.
quarterback is looking like he lives in California, Colorado, and he just left the line at the weed shop.
Hey,
you know, that's what he's looking like.
Man, it's
you know,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, and you want to blame Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham is not throwing the passes.
Yep.
And if anybody wants to look at the passes that have been thrown to Odell Beckham, even look at the last game, Jonathan. You know, passes were picked off twice. They were thrown at Odell Beckham, one on a slant, one on a go route.
Yep.
Neither one of them hit him in the hands. They hit the defensive backs,
Yep.
but they didn't hit him. But he's blamed for not catching the ball, not the quarterback for throwing the interception.
That's a good point, Big C. And speaking of that, because as a defensive guy, you seem to have a little attitude when you talk about quarterbacks, and you tend to like them when they throw to the defensive guys. So let me give you a chance to really perk up for this one. Big C, you can put your shoes up on the couch for this one. The worst 5 quarterback performances. I want Big C's worst 5 quarterback performances in the NFL this past weekend. Big C, you can put your shoes on the couch for this one, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, I can get back and relax with what you're saying.
You can do Kellyanne Conway.
When you talk about that story.
Yep.
But we just got you talking about him. Number 1 on that list, Charlton, I got to throw Eli Manning. And I'm not throwing him under the bus.
Okay.
I'm trying to sit him down on the couch and just retire.
Yeah.
You know, give it up.
Yeah.
Don't try to keep fooling people. Don't act like you even care about the game. Don't tell anybody you have compassion.
He said he'll quit when he wants. I'll quit when I want to quit, boy. That's why it's game privilege, Big C.
You know, then I got to look at Derek Anderson.
Yep.
You know, who looked like he could be hanging out with Eli. I mean, he produced 11 points in 2 games. You got to be thrilled about that if you're
a bargain.
fan.
What a bargain.
Because, you know, the thing about it, Charlton,
yeah,
in New York and Buffalo, both of those in the state of New York,
yeah,
they haven't reduced the ticket price.
No.
Since last I checked. All those quarterbacks are getting paid.
Yep.
I got to look at your friend Brock Osweiler down in Miami. I mean, he had a great game 3 weeks ago.
I love Miami.
He had a great game 3 weeks ago, but all of a sudden, that reality check has come back in.
Yeah.
And he realized who he was. He looked in the mirror and said, damn, this is Brock Osweiler.
Yep.
I thought it was Miami Dolphins quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, Baker Mayfield,
yeah.
You know, everybody was singing his rave, Charlton.
Yep.
But the reality of the NFL is that you have to play NFL players. You're not playing college players. You can't get by on your athleticism.
Yeah.
Because everybody on defense, Charlton, ironically, is a better athlete than you at quarterback. And so if you can't get rid of the ball on time,
yeah,
they will feast on you. Ask the Pittsburgh Steelers how they felt about Baker Mayfield this past weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, Tampa Bay,
yeah,
it may be time to part ways with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, the atrocious performance he's had in his 3 starts this year, Charlton,
yeah,
and 4 interceptions in his last start. And we're not even talking about playing 3 quarters. Okay?
Wow.
4 interceptions.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you look at Jameis Winston, Jameis has never really showed that he's cared since being in the NFL. We knew he had problems in college.
Yeah.
And when he left Florida State,
yeah,
coming into the NFL, you thought that he might grow up.
Yeah.
But he's had multiple incidents in the NFL, and especially this Uber report out of Phoenix, Arizona, Charlton.
Yeah.
If you read the report,
yeah,
then you would say, you know, this guy needs, you know, new direction in life.
He needs a butt whipping.
Maybe being in Florida is not the best place for him, Charlton.
No, it's
maybe
not.
He needs to leave that state. I don't know if he'll get another starting job. But he might want to reconsider being in Florida and ask to be traded out of there, Charlton.
Well, you know, the thing about Winston, and I thought he had so much upside coming out of Florida State, and I just think about how rare it is to be a quarterback in the NFL, especially African American quarterback, and the #1 draft pick at that. And then not to know the history of black Americans in this country. That's why I think maybe he watches too many of those dumbed down sports shows. They don't talk about civil rights or equality or egalitarian or the 13th Amendment. They don't talk about that, maybe because they don't know it. All they talk about is the game. Who won, who's big, who's fast, who's strong. So a lot of guys grow up dumb because they listen to dumb sportscasters who don't even ask them any questions for critical thinking. For young people of color, especially in this country, you got to know the Kerner Commission more than your favorite rap song, more than your favorite MTV show, or whatever show you watch. It's just important because had he spent more time around guys like Big C or around guys like maybe Harry Edwards, he couldn't act like he's ignorant to what's going on in society where we're being preyed upon. Especially you've been given the opportunity of a lifetime, and you decide to be a knucklehead, and that's his own choice, Big C. I want to just touch on something real quick. University of Maryland, the board recommends keeping Coach Durkin and the athletic director after the death of a player this fall. And I know everybody has their own opinion about things and how things could always be done better. We had something similar with Minnesota Vikings at the time when this Corey, the gentleman,
Stringer.
Stringer, that had the heat exhaustion. It's happened before. I just want to get your thoughts on it, Big C, on what should have happened. Go right ahead, sir.
Charleston, DJ Durkin should not have been retained at the University of Maryland, just like Urban Meyer should not have been retained at Ohio State. Urban Meyer's coming out today saying that he has a cyst on the brain and no one wants any ill health on anybody, and he says that that's part of his problem, so he's looking for a way out at Ohio State.
Yeah.
But the situation with DJ Durkin, to have a player die under your watch for lack of institutional control, Charlton, with your staff, and the athletic director being retained also.
Yeah.
These people are the first people to go, Charlton, but this also, by them not being fired, they're protected by the university in a lawsuit scenario, Charlton, that could come against the university, even though they settle with the family, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, here it is. You send off a young man, Charlton, to a coach who says, I'm going to look after him like he's my own son.
Right.
And this young man loses his life because the way that he's being beat down physically by a guy under your watch, the strength and conditioning coach. You had personal knowledge of this guy, just like at Ohio State when Urban Meyer had knowledge of his coach,
coaching staff,
his assistant coach, saying that he wasn't aware, even though he had these texts and, I got to destroy my phone and all this stuff. But, here it is. How can you, at a state institution, keep a guy on the payroll who was part of the death of an individual, Charlton, under his watch?
Yeah.
And this is an outcry. This comes back not just as a young athlete. It goes back to the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
How would they have treated this if this had been a white quarterback who died under the watch of this coach?
Yeah.
What would the outcry have been? But since this was a black offensive lineman, they said, well, we can get another one.
Yep.
This is an outcry of insensitivity by the Board of Regents at that university, Charlton, to the care of people of minorities.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's a touching subject, and I understand both sides. Our thoughts and prayers are with the gentleman's family. Big C, I want to close out on, we've seen some great things happen in sports. We just finished the World Series. Man, I would love to see 7 games like we saw last year with the Dodgers and the Astros. This year, the Dodgers and the Red Sox only getting 5 games, feeling like maybe baseball robbed itself. Sometimes when you have an instant replay, or even replay, we can all see if the guy was safe. If the ball beat the foot to the base, okay? The ball got to the glove before the foot got to the base. We can see that. But oftentimes, you're giving a batter the right and left side of the plate. Like Johnny Tucker said, choose a side, but don't give them both sides. So we know that Major League Baseball wanted the Sox to get a World Series. That's my opinion, even though the Dodgers they forgot they had some good bats they left in the dugout for Game 1. But it is what it is. I think they robbed the baseball community of 7 games. And, they know how to manufacture that, too. But I want to go to one of the best basketball shooters in the universe, and Klay Thompson. That good old boy in the land of vibranium, Klay Thompson, Golden State Warriors last night broke the NBA three-point record and won game with 14. And the record he broke was his teammate, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, just an outstanding shooting performance by Klay Thompson. You think about it. He scored 14 threes last night.
Yeah.
He only dribbled the ball 13 times. So he was a catch-and-shoot guy.
Yep.
You know, he was 14 of 24 last night from the floor. You know, and you know, to knock down that amount of shots, Charlton, the thing that I don't like about the Golden State Warriors, just like everybody else around the country, let the starters play 4 quarters.
Yep.
Klay Thompson did this in 3 quarters. You know, the last time we saw a player score 80 points, it was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
In his final game with the Lakers, he scored 60.
Yep.
But he played all 48 minutes to get to 60.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson does not get that opportunity. And you think about it, Charlton, 2 years ago, Klay Thompson scored 60 points in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Didn't get a chance to play the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
You know, his teammate this year had scored 51 points just last week, Steph Curry.
Yep.
Klay didn't get the opportunity to maximize his points last night. I would have loved to have Steve Kerr, even though the Warriors had scored 94 points at halftime.
Yep.
You know, your opponent has to play defense.
Yeah.
You can't be worried about the ineptitude when people are saying, well, the Warriors have an unfair advantage. They go to practice like everybody else, Charlton.
Yeah.
They shoot like everybody else. They just shoot better.
Yeah.
And everybody in the NBA has the opportunity to practice their craft. Not like the Jacksonville Jaguars spending the night in jail, but, you know, to be in practice and work on it.
Yeah.
They try to get out early and make happy hour.
Yeah, they do,
But
Big Z.
Klay Thompson last night, Charlton, was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, broke the record, which had been set by his teammate.
Yeah.
You know, didn't surpass his own scoring record with the team, Charlton, of 60 points.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I would like for Steve Kerr to give his starters a chance sometime, Charlton, to go out and realize their full potential.
Yeah.
Because Klay's shot may be cut down in a couple of months because Boogie Cousins may be back in January.
Yeah, you know Boogie don't like to pass with Big C. He likes to get outside and prove that he can do it too. Have you ever seen, I mean, a great movie that I think every college kid should see is called He Got Game. It's produced by the great Spike Lee. They had the great Denzel Washington. They even had Rick Fox in there. They had Jesus, you know, Jesus sort of was with Ray Allen. They had Lala, I think Carmelo Anthony's wife. They had a lot of good actors in that movie. And what I learned about that movie is every young boy should see that movie. If they even had Big State, thinking of Big C Sports, Big State was a school that they were trying to get Denzel to go, his son to go to, Big C. But I've got to get your thoughts. The way Thompson is so good, why is he the most talked about when it comes to being traded, Big C? You don't trade, you don't let someone come into your house and put their shoes on your sofa unless they got a special place in your heart, Big C. That's maybe the only time. Let him put his shoes on the sofa at the Golden State Chasing the Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Charlton, the disenchantment from the media about the Warriors is that they're too good. And when you're not in their market, Charlton, what do you talk about? You talk about disbanding this team.
Yeah.
Everyone outside of the Bay Area is constantly talking in the media world about the disbandment of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Kevin Durant's going to Los Angeles. He's going to New York. He's going to Washington. Kevin Durant's gone everywhere except for OKC. All right?
Yeah.
That's the only team that has been put up there, Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson, he's a free agent. He doesn't have to stay in this situation. He can go and be a star on his own.
Yeah.
Don't the media realize that athletes love winning?
Yeah.
This is what the game is all about.
Win,
Klay
win, win.
Thompson is never going to go broke.
No.
And they said, well, he can get a max contract if he goes elsewhere. You can have a max contract like LeBron and have 2 wins at this point of the season, okay?
Yep. What a bargain.
It doesn't mean anything that you got a max contract. And I don't know if the media realizes Klay Thompson has made a lot of money since being with the Warriors.
In China.
Well, his shoe contract alone is $100 million.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's making $100 million wearing sneakers.
Yeah.
So him making $20 million a season in the NBA, I think he might be able to make his mortgage payment.
He might be able to buy a house, yeah. That's
He
right.
might be able to make a mortgage payment somewhere.
Yep.
So as the media, you think about it, they only talk negativity. Nobody in the media said, well, Gordon Hayward's going to be out of Boston.
No.
You know, no one has made that cry. I mean, he's probably the most looked at white player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Kevin Love signed an extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers that haven't won a game.
Yeah.
No one says Kevin Love should be traded and go elsewhere so they can rebuild the program.
Are fired.
He can get a better situation.
Yeah.
You think about that. When you look around the NBA at the white players in the NBA, no one in the media said that they're disenchanted or unhappy.
No.
Winning or losing, Charlton.
No, not at all.
But here's a situation where Klay Thompson has been to 4 consecutive NBA Finals, Charlton. 4 consecutive. He's not thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
And probably go to 5. You know, the things that have been matched by the Boston Celtics. Who else has been there? The Lakers have been to 5 back in the 70s with West in that group in the 60s and 70s, losing to the Boston.
Yeah.
But you know, to be in a legacy, and people who've never played athletics, who've never played a team sport, to be a part of a legacy, and not just a part, but an integral part, a key part, that is one of the most admirational things to be in sports. And one of those things you can always go back and talk about, hey, I was a part of that.
Yeah.
When you pull out that whole raft of rings that you had, this was me.
Yeah.
You know, when you sit around, it's just like the movie that was done, Uncle Drew.
Yeah.
When you got all the old timers playing in the ballpark, you know, in New York.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there reminiscing.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing about being a former professional athlete, Charlton, is that you can hang your rings up.
Yep, you sure can.
And you can show people. Even though Robert Horry hides his 7 in a door in the bathroom.
Hey, Big C,
You know.
Big C, would Uncle Drew let Kellyanne Conway put her shoes up on his couch?
I don't know if she can ride in the van, Charlton. But you think about this.
Yeah.
All those players at the University of Alabama, all those football players.
Yeah.
You think the ones that didn't turn pro, Charlton, would trade in their college championship because they didn't start, that somebody else started? They stayed there to be part of a legacy.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts stayed at Alabama this last season, Charlton, to be part of a legacy. That's what he stayed there for.
Yeah.
Because no career is guaranteed, even on the college or professional level.
No.
But what you build at a certain level, Charlton, that can never be duplicated, you don't turn that down.
Yeah, that's very true, Big C. LeBron James, whether Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, most politically polarizing players in the NBA. Why is that to mainstream, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, the influence that the African-American player has in mainstream society, media doesn't like that. They don't appreciate that. You can go back to Laura Ingraham at Fox.
Shut up and dribble.
Where she told LeBron to just shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
Because you have too much influence on people of color and even mainstream America.
Yeah.
Is because the young people in America listen to athletes, Charlton.
Yeah.
If you were to walk into a room with people, and let's put them all in perspective in the top of their craft.
Yeah.
Take Lester Holt from NBC, Charlton.
Yeah.
You walk into a room with him. You go in there, and not only right behind him, you got Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
With the Dodgers.
Yep.
People know who Clayton is.
Yeah.
With Clayton, you walk in with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Everybody recognizes Cam Newton as an NFL quarterback. LeBron James walks into that room. Lester can speak.
Yeah.
From a political perspective.
Yep.
Get a small applause. Clayton Kershaw can tell you what the climate is in California on politics.
Yeah.
You know, Cam Newton, because he's from the South, can let you know. And all those people will get minor applause, Charlton.
Yeah.
LeBron James stands up before he can even open his mouth. The room is resonating with an applause and interest. Even though Lester Holt was the most intelligent person in the room when it comes to politics, LeBron James, and we don't know what LeBron reads. I don't know what he does when he gets off work.
Right.
I don't know what site he's on. I don't know what books he's reading, but
Longfellow's
he's a very prescient
poems.
person.
Yep, Longfellow's
He's
poems.
a very prescient person, Charles.
Yeah.
But the influence that they have over mainstream, regardless of the race, Charlton, is unparalleled.
Yeah.
This is the reason why the media does not like for black athletes to speak.
Yeah.
And you think about all those black athletes, people say, well, it might be hurting their career. all of those guys have shoe contracts.
Yep, they're multi-millionaires.
They're multi-millionaires even without basketball.
Yeah.
They have other entities that they're involved in. But mainstream knows the influence, especially that black basketball players have on white society.
You know what?
Especially young white society.
Yep.
That hasn't grown up in that total racial divide.
You know.
And they don't like for them to speak out because they influence these people about having a word and going out voting in society, Joe.
And I think Laura Ingraham was so egregious, but would you believe the mothership listens to her? Now, black men have been the vanguard of everything, black men and black women. That's why when I see mainstream sports programs on the mothership, they dumb down all their black guys. I mean, I find one that will talk about anything than who won the game. Can you believe how big a fan LeBron James is? Oh my God, Curry, I'm like, what? Slow down, bro. Because that's all they talk about, like intellectually vapid men. And we're more than that. I mean, come on, our parents and grandparents sent us to college to elucidate subjects, not to sit there and just read sports scores all day. That's why a lot of them are just shaking in their boots to say, yeah, I got a brain and I got an opinion. You watch it again. I'm talking to the whole universe. All they talk about is the score. What a shame. Big C in the last 2 minutes. I want to get your thoughts on Big C's Player of the Week in Major League Baseball and then even gymnastics, and give me some college football as well, Big C. Big C's Players of the Week. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, when we look across the gamut of players who have dominated their sports this past week, I got to look at the World Series and the Boston Red Sox, Charlton. They've got all the demons in the media office back with his dominating 2-game performance in the World Series, shutting down the Dodgers, Charlton.
Amazing.
He lifted himself to new heights, and hopefully he'll get rid of all of that media bashing that he's had the past part of his career.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to the ladies gymnastics, Simone Biles, Charlton, who went out and won another world championship this past week.
Yeah.
This young lady has been electrifying, Charlton, over the last 2 Olympics and continued her career even after the assault of Larry Nassar, who is now serving life in prison, Charlton.
Yeah.
I want to look at college football. Gunnar Mishaw, quarterback, Washington State, who has his team now ranked in the top 10 in the country, Charlton.
He's good.
This last week, Charlton, he lit up the Cardinals, Charlton. He was 40 of 50, 438 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Gone under the radar all season long by all of the college football experts, Charlton.
Yeah.
Doing a fine job up there in Pullman for Coach Mike Lee and the Washington Huskies.
Yeah.
I want to look at the NHL, Charlton. I want to look at...
Is it Patrick Kane? You think about Patrick Kane? You think he might be the guy?
Patrick Kane, Charlton. This last week, he put in 3 goals, had 4 goals, had 3 assists, Charlton, for a total of 7 points on the week. Just setting the NHL on fire, Charlton. And the Blackhawks, one of the original teams up.
Yeah, Todd
Running
Gurley.
back for the Rams. Todd Gurley, had a dominant performance. It cost a whole lot of people money on that game because he took a knee at the 4-yard line. So
Me too.
Realize he's out to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks, Todd.
But Todd Gurley had 114 yards rushing, Charlton.
Yeah.
81 yards receiving. You can't cover the guy.
No.
And he also scored a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to stay out west, Charlton, with your boys there in Golden State. Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Leading the NBA in scoring, Charlton. Just a phenomenal shooter, averaging 33 points a game.
Wow.
5 assists, 5 rebounds, Charlton. Got the Golden State Warriors on the top of the NBA West once again.
Yep.
Trying to get back for a 3-peat.
I tell you what, Big C, there's something about sports that we all love, and you can love it too. Just pay attention to it, but don't just read the scores. Please show you went to college for something other than who won the game. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, what I'm looking forward to in the sports universe is that I'm going to take a step back and pay homage to those 2 gentlemen you just mentioned, Drew Boudini Brown and Muhammad Ali. 44 years ago today, in Kinshasa, Zaire, Muhammad Ali regained the heavyweight title by knocking out George Foreman in 8 rounds.
Wow.
In a fight that me and many other Americans felt that he had no chance of winning, that he was going again against this dominant physical specimen of George Foreman.
Yep.
But Ali knew something that we all didn't know. He had the desire and the heart of a lion, Charles.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble, and you can rumble too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, where you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, we always want to tell you there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.